Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of the Sidecar Spin. Today is International Women's Day and I happen to have my first female guest, Kristy Schultz. Kristy is a rider, she's from South Australia and she mainly rides in the Reliability Trials series and the 24 hour. So today I'll be speaking to Kristy a bit about how she got into sidecar racing, a bit about the reliability trials and the rules and how it differs from motocross, balancing racing and mum life, and she also gets into one of the scary moments her and Ayla experienced on the sidecar when they were hanging off the side of a creek bed. So make sure you tune in and let's kick it off. Kristy Schultz from Australia. Welcome, Kristy.
Hi, thank you very much.
Thanks for coming on and talking to me.
No, it's exciting. Thank you for having me.
Well, I know you're stranded at the Gold Coast in the cyclone at the moment, so
I've got plenty of time up my sleeve at the moment, yes.
Yeah. So can you tell me a bit about yourself and how you got into sidecars?
I've been racing sidecars since about 2010 in the reliability trials, but I've done a little bit of motocross for the years before that. But my family have always been around bikes, and I was racing a solo at Morgan at the time, and just had a friend say to me that, you know, she had a sidecar available for her to swing on but needed a rider. Would I be interested? And it started from there.
Oh, cool.
So I rode and she swung, and I have never looked back. It's just been after that, sidecars. Everything I've wanted to do has always been in and around the sidecars, and eventually I bought my own and, never looked back.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
That's it. Yeah. So could have bought a couple of houses over the years, but you know what? You can't have that much fun in a house compared to on a bike.
No.
So, yeah.
No, my husband, he's always like, what are you doing? Oh, bloody sidecars. You're watching something to do with sidecars, or not everything's sidecars, you know. I'm like, yeah, it is.
Exactly. It's just because it's such a unique sport, and I think the people that you meet through sidecars, because you have, you know, such a unique interest, you meet friends for life. So I totally get when you say everything is sidecars.
Yeah, no, for sure. And you're right, there's so many cool people involved in it as well.
Exactly. We're a bit of a close-knit community in the sidecar world, because it's obviously a little bit different, a little bit unique, and obviously it's, you know, the minority of the sport when you look at motocross, you know, compared to solos and that as well.
So reliability trials. So most people know what motocross is, but some people, especially overseas and stuff, they probably don't know what reliability trials are. Can you explain a little bit about what they are?
Yeah, it's basically an event run over a period of about 6 hours, and you need to have a fully road registered bike. And we travel via dirt roads, public roads, bitumen roads, to get to a private off-road section where we do our racing. And each course individual section in the paddocks is marked by markers and some bunting, and you don't know the determined course. So when you get to the section, you've just got to ride as fast as you can, following the markers.
Yep, and hope for the best.
Exactly. And hopefully you and your passenger work together and can pick a safe, smooth line. And obviously the key is to ride that as fast as you can. Yep. Each bike leaves 1 minute apart. So basically you're racing the clock. You don't know how fast the other teams are going, because you're all on the course at different times and at different places around the course as well.
Yep. I often get people asking me on some of the videos, what is that? Why you got that thing around the sidecar chair on those bikes? And I have to explain to them that it's for the reliability trials, and they're just like, huh?
Yeah, exactly, because obviously because the bikes have to be compliant with the road rules, we need to have like your number plate, your tail light, your headlights, your mirrors, and you've got to have the rear enclosed on the sidecar, which is, those that race motocross wouldn't understand why we'd have to have that enclosed. And obviously having a seat for your passenger as well.
Yeah.
Obviously, it doesn't need to be, like a chair that they're actually going to sit on. My bike for my passengers just got a little foam pad sitting on the toolbox because by law we have to have something there that they can possibly sit on.
So you've done the 24-hour quite a few times too, haven't you?
Yep, I think I'm up to 13 finishes now.
Oh, wow. Yep.
I started in, what year did I first ride sidecar? It would have been 2011, I'm pretty sure. I've had 3 DNFs, I think, on the sidecar.
Yep.
Or maybe 2 and one where I was pregnant and broke my collarbone and couldn't ride. So there's been a couple that I couldn't ride and I think a couple that we've DNF. So, But yes, definitely keen to continue to finish. I'd love to try and get up there and, possibly get 20 finishes. But then, at the moment, I don't want to stop racing. Hopefully I can keep racing for another 20, 30 years as well. So, yeah.
So what do you reckon the hardest thing is about riding the 24?
Probably just working together and ensuring that you're both on the same page for this, like the whole event. There's no point the rider going gung-ho for the first 2 laps and absolutely smashing the passenger, and then the passenger's absolutely buggered and can't continue for the next 2 laps, and then you get shitty with each other or you get disappointed with each other. You have to be on the same page and you have to work together because at the end of the day, if you don't look after your passenger, there's no way that you'll get through the event. So a few years ago, I did the 24 with my sister, and she'd never ever done a road trial in her life. We'd had about three hours. We had about 3 hours practice, and she was living in Port Lincoln at the time, so it was not as though she was just around the corner. And I had to change my whole style of riding, my pace. I talked to her constantly, and just tried to help her out. And you know what? We finished. We got through it, and she absolutely was aft on the last lap. Halfway through the third lap, like her back was killing her. She's like, "Why am I doing this?" And she hated the last lap, hated every minute of it. But when she finished, and everyone congratulated her and said what an amazing job she'd done for how little practice she'd had, she looked back and was like, it's the best thing I ever did.
Yeah, for sure. So, that reward, it's pretty rewarding, because I did Robbie for my first one and I was like, what the hell have I got myself into?
Exactly.
Yeah, and I was just like, oh my God, am I even going to be able to do this? And then by the end, but after when we finished, I was buzzing for weeks.
Exactly. If you can jump into the 24 or Robertstown as your first event and finish it, you won't have any problem with doing a normal 6 hours. So, but I do say that. And then I had my sister jump on for Malala after that, and she hated every minute because it was so tight around the trees. She really, really, really struggled.
You really got to work.
Whereas the 24, they mark it a little bit more open, because obviously there's so many more bikes and the track can get really cut up as well. Whereas, you got your shorter sections in the 6 hours as well. So,
yeah, wow. Well, I'm thinking I might end up on a sidecar for the 24 this year, so we'll see how I go.
Awesome. Hopefully it happens, because, there's nothing better than to do the 24 on a sidecar and have someone else with you to share every high, every low, and just talk with someone. Like I remember doing it on a solo, and you're riding along the tracks of a night time, and there's no one with you. It's boring. It's it's just, I don't know, Yeah, and sometimes the field starts to decimate, and you don't see any other like bikes. Whereas when you're on a solo, you've got when you're on a sidecar, you've got your passenger or your rider that you can talk to and share with, and feed each other lollies or drinks and snacks, and
And I
you
guess
just got that person.
when you've got one of yours is starting to like sort of get a bit, the other one can pep you up. I suppose if you're not both doing it at the same time, that's what will get you through as well, because you can help each other out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and you can talk to each other as you're going through the section or after the section, and just say how you're feeling or what's working, what's not working as well. So
yeah.
And you can't beat being on a sidecar with your best friend, and
Yeah, no, for sure. You definitely have some adventures, that's for sure.
And the adventures that you can get up to in 6 hours or 12 hours or 24 hours, you can't explain it, you can't describe it, and you have that connection with that other person for the rest of your life because you've experienced that together, and not many people get to experience that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, well, like Caroline and I at the Clare Trail last year, we came down through a creek and we went to turn left, and I saw a log in the creek, and I thought, oh, we might just nip that with the sidecar wheel. Next minute, it just flicks up, goes straight through the bloody sidecar, like up where you step out, through the sidecar, up like to the back seat of the bike, and we're just like, what the hell, like. We were in a dead stop, and we're just cracking up because we just could not believe that this big giant log just came through the sidecar. And then we're like laughing, hulking out, trying to chuck it out of the chair, and we're just like, what the hell? And we're trying to tell people, but people don't understand because it was just us.
They don't understand. Exactly.
We're just like, we nearly died.
And you know what? You can talk about that, you and Caroline, for the rest of your lives, and you'll laugh about that moment, and no one else will actually understand it. It's just something that you two will share together forever. And Ayla and I have had massive, massive moments like that, and we end up absolutely in hysterics, or both really frustrated together because we can't believe, a stick flicked up and, did that or did this, and we're just like, or you have like a near miss. Like Ayla and I almost fell off a creek cliff once in the 24. It was a really wet event. It was, I think, lap 3, and we come up, and all of a sudden, like, we just had to come to a complete stop halfway up this hill, and we were just screaming because I couldn't get off the bike because there was no ground underneath me. It was just this 4-meter drop off, and in the middle of nowhere in this one section, about 100 metres early, we saw these people, and he came running. And he stood down in the creek, and he was able to put his hands right up and literally just hold my back wheel. And I had to climb out through the chair over the front of the sidecar to be able to get out because there was just no ground under me.
Oh, my God, that would have been terrifying.
Oh, it was. But then we rode off thinking, what the hell? Like, it was just, you just had to be there. Like, you couldn't write about it, you couldn't read about it. And that there was these 2 spectators there at the right place at the right time. I would have hated to have thought what would have happened if we didn't have someone there to help us, because we were just in such precarious position. So,
Would you say that would have been one of your scariest ones?
That was one where, that we hadn't crashed, or, we were literally hanging precariously, whether we were going to, the bike was going to flip down this creek cliff or what. We just, But then obviously, when we had a really big crash and I broke my collarbone, it's we don't want to go back there again.
Yeah, what happened there?
That was in Spring Heart Creek, in Robertstown in 2016, and just hit a rock, went offline a little bit, hit another rock, and then we just flipped it several times. And and then I went to sit up and obviously felt the collarbone gone, and unfortunately that was the end of our Robertstown. Day 1, section 1, lap 1.
Oh, no.
And I was 12 weeks pregnant at the time.
Oh, God.
So it was just like, because everyone's like, oh, ride safe, have a good ride, don't hurt yourself, don't crash. And what do we do? Yep, just went splat.
Yeah,
So
they bloody jinxed you.
that's it. So, but yeah, it was just that was a big one.
Yeah.
That was probably one of our biggest ones that we've ever had, and because you're obviously riding quite fast
Yeah.
into pretty hard, and yeah, just hit a couple of rocks, get offline, and then she just it went rear wheel over, like
Oh,
bike over
wow.
chair, and it
Yeah.
just threw us down the track. So yeah,
Jeez. So
yep.
speaking of Robbie, what's the go with the tutus at Robbie? How'd that all start?
I think Ayla came up with that idea. We like to have fun, but we like to be seriously competitive as well. And there was one season there we dressed up in a couple of events, and we wore like Minnie Mouse headbands taped to our helmets, and we wore a tutu. I think one time we even wore onesies over all our gear. And obviously, because everyone calls it the Robbie 2 Day,
Yeah.
and it just came out the Robbie 2 Day.
Yeah.
And yeah, so ever since then, we've worn the tutus, and a couple of times I haven't been able to have Ayla.
Yeah.
I had a male passenger. I thought, oh no, I won't worry about it. And there was these kids that have been there every year, and they were so gutted that I didn't wear the tutu.
Oh no, you should have made him
So-
wear the tutu.
So I've literally rummaged through the shed on the Saturday night of Robertstown, and I've come out with a tutu the next day. And you know what? It's for the kids out there. They
Yeah.
absolutely love it. They know that we wear the tutus at Robertstown,
Yeah.
and they absolutely love it. And you know what? If it's something small that we can do that puts that joy on those children's faces, and it makes it memorable for them, then you know what? We're going to continue to do it.
Yeah,
So,
no, that's
yeah.
awesome. No, you
Yeah.
definitely stand out too. It's like, here come the girls with the tutus. And when you come past, you can hear you yelling and cracking up laughing and splat through the big bog hole at Robbie and in your bloody
That's it.
tutus.
That's it. And everyone always says that they can hear Ayla and I talking to each other before they see us,
Yeah.
because we do a lot of talking, and I think that's what's helped us with our pace
Yeah.
and our line choices, and trying to mix it up there with the fast boys.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that communication is so important. So
Absolutely. Even though we use intercoms, we still seem to talk quite loudly.
yeah, that's great. So what would be your most memorable moment?
I would have to say finishing the 24 every year. Like every time I've ever finished it, that without a doubt is the greatest achievement. To be able to get a sidecar, you and your passenger through the 24, is just absolutely amazing. And I think 2 years ago when we won the clubman class, and we come, I think, 7th outright.
Oh wow, that's really good.
I think it was 7th outright.
Yeah.
So we only had like the 6 experts in front of us. Like, that was for us. We pushed so hard in the last lap. We were, I think, 3rd in class.
Yep.
And we were so devo because we had a little moment where we had a rock get stuck between the front wheel and the leading link.
Oh.
And we lost about 4 minutes in a creek trying to get this rock out, literally in the last section of lap 3. And we were sitting 1st in class, and we just thought, no, we can't draw that time back in the last lap. And we had we rocked up to the Caton control, and we had a fellow rider who was not riding that year give us some words of encouragement and just said, just keep going. The other teams are absolutely spent.
Yep.
And I think by the time we got to the second fuel dump, we were a minute in front of them.
Oh, wow.
We literally just rode the best we'd ever ridden. We pushed and pushed and pushed. And like, I give credit to Ayla, like, she just works like a dog. She just keeps going.
Yeah.
You know, and I think for the first time we both came into a section after a 10K section huffing and puffing because we literally just pushed so hard. We put everything into it, and we didn't make a mistake. And, we just were so excited. I think we both screamed when we checked the live timing and saw that we were a minute in front of them. Like, that's what we wanted, and we just continued for the next 4 sections, and, we brought home the goods for us. So,
Yeah, that's awesome. And it makes it so much better too when you've like had those moments where you think, oh shit, and then you've been able to like just pull it off and just make it work and come out on top.
Absolutely. And I suppose like another highlight would be, you know, if you have a moment in a section or there's a bit that you've struggled to get through, or, you know, maybe a log crossing and you haven't been able to get over it, and then you get to do that on the second lap or the third lap or the fourth lap and you get through it. It's such an amazing feeling, and it's an amazing sensation that, you know what, we got through that, we did that, and we did it. So,
Well, there's definitely a lot of parts in the reliability trials where you think, can a sidecar even go up there, or can a sidecar get through there?
Exactly. So, and I, you know, it always still fathoms me that we can take those machines in the places that we do take them in a road trial. So,
Yeah, for sure. Because I remember on that first one I did, I was like, we're not going to ride up that, are we? Like, can a sidecar go up there? I'm like, and then it's like, hold on. It's like, oh my God, we made it.
It's such an unreal feeling.
Screaming at the top of like a creek bed or something because we can't believe we just made it up there. It's just like, hold on.
That's it. And the biggest thing is just never hesitate as a rider. Like, don't think about it. Don't and don't question your line choice. Just go for it, because if you second guess yourself, that's when you get yourself into trouble. Or you won't make it up the hill and you'll slide back down. That's what Ayla and I have learned is don't hesitate. Let's just go for it and hang on and she'll be right.
It doesn't really give you much of a chance to really think about what you're doing either a lot of the time, because you come around a corner and there's something there and you're already at speed and you're like, oh, well, just go.
Exactly. That's it. And you don't get that chance to second guess yourself or hesitate. Like, you just got to do it. And you're like, oh, that wasn't as bad as what we thought it might have been.
Yeah. Or you get over it and you think, oh my God, I can't believe we just did that.
Exactly.
And then you think, oh, I've got to come around and do it again.
And that's like the bog hole at Robertstown. Like when we've had to cross it twice the last couple of years, like you got to cross it twice. And I think 2 years ago I had Stewie on and we got through all 8 times and not once did we have to get off and push or we got stuck. And, it was just the best feeling, because obviously Stewie isn't the youngest passenger out there, and he'd had, I think, a 7-year hiatus.
Oh, wow,
and I just wanted to make sure I chose my lines and made sure that we were going to get through, because I didn't want to have to get him to get off and push and, you know, because it would have just buggered him. So...
Well, you guys got through it all right last year too.
Yeah, we seem to have nailed the old bog holes, and there's certain lines that you've got to take and the speed. So, which it helps because, you know, you're maintaining your energy and that you don't have to get off and push and pull that sidecar out of that bog. Like, it's just... I haven't been bogged for quite a few years, and I don't want to do it anytime soon, because I just know the how much hard work and how much you got to slog your guts out to get those bikes out of the mud. There was one year we got so bogged in the 24, we had a fellow team stop. We had to roll the sidecar over to get it out.
Wow, yeah.
There was no way we were pulling it out. We just literally had to flip it over on its side and over again and over again. It's just,
Yeah, that first one I did at Robbie, we got through the first day all right. We're like, oh, this isn't too bad, but there was still some reeds and stuff, so there was a bit of traction. But the second day, the first bit we got through, but the second big, like smushy bit.
Going up there,
Oh, we just, like, jumped into it and just bleh. I was like, oh, no. And it was like it was over my boots, and then you get back on after you've pushed out. Like, we had spectators helping us. There was no way we were going to get out of there. And then you get back on the sidecar and you're just covered in head to toe in mud. You're trying
Yep.
to hold on. You're sliding everywhere
Yep.
around in the chair, like,
Yep,
and it's
and you're
just like,
huffing and puffing because you've
yeah,
just spent so much
yeah,
energy
yeah,
dragging these big, heavy machines out of that. So, yeah,
yeah. It's
yep.
pretty gross, and you
It's a fine
stink.
line between choosing the right line and going too fast or not going fast
Yeah,
enough as well. So, yeah.
yeah, and you're buggered if you go into where somebody else has already got bogged and dug a big hole or something in there, and then you
Exactly.
end
And
up
that's the
stuck in
thing.
their hole.
With people leaving a minute earlier, you don't know where they've been stuck and who's been stuck unless if they're still there.
Yeah,
You know, if a minute later when you come, you can see. But, yeah, it's just a great unknown, isn't it?
yeah, yeah, no, for sure. Well, I remember being lined up, and Caroline was a bit nervous about going in, and I was just like, oh, no, we'll be right, because I didn't really know what I was in for.
Yep.
And then I hear this big splash, and then it's like, what the hell? It was Adam Buckley going over the handlebars into the thing, like, because he just hit it like it was just like a brick
Yep.
wall, and he just flew over the handlebars doing this big
Yep.
dismount, and that was the big splash we saw coming up before we
Yep.
came over the hill to go.
I
It was
remember
like,
seeing
oh
those
no.
photos. Yeah, I remember seeing those photos. It was a classic. So, yeah.
Like a handstand straight off
Yep.
the front of the bike.
Yep, just flipped him straight over, flattened his back into the mud.
Yeah, like, oh God. But I think we got through that one, but him and
Yeah.
his mate were trying to push the bike out, and they were just covered, like, you couldn't even
Yep.
see any part of their clothes.
Yep, exactly. And that's why it's, yeah, if you don't get bogged, it's such a positive for your race. Obviously also your time and your
Yeah.
energy and that as well. And then the washing and cleaning after.
Yep. So are you planning, you're doing the 24 this year?
Yeah, absolutely. Ayla and I obviously suffered a mechanical DNF last year,
Yep.
which actually broke our hearts. It'd been 10 years between DNFs for us in the 24. So it sort of, and being the 100th anniversary, it was the one that we really wanted to finish. So, so we're, I think the entries come out next week for that. So we'll be entering that. And, at this stage, we should be doing the series. Well, I will be, just obviously Ayla dependent on work with her career and everything. Hopefully she can be there for all of them, and we'll see how we go.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I remember riding past you guys on my solo, and like the Sawyers on the side of the road, and I was like, no, no. I was so gutted for you.
We sat there for over an hour trying everything. We checked everything, replaced all the fuses, the relays. We replaced, absolutely everything. And in the end, the stator had shit itself and fallen out. So, it was just one of those things, unfortunately. So, yeah.
Do you find that now that you've had to carry your tools with you and do all that type of stuff, that you're like pretty mechanically minded now with the bike?
Generally, if there's something wrong with the bike, we can sort of work with it and try and work out what the issue is. Like we've had lights blown, go out, and we know that a fuse is gone. Because I've had the same bike for such a long time now, like I do know the bike off the back of my hand.
Yep.
So when we had the problem last year in the 24, like it literally just stopped going down the road.
Yeah.
And we thought it's something electrical because it just died. We even changed spark plugs, and we even changed plug leads. Like we knew everything and where everything is in that bike.
Yeah.
But we obviously just didn't take the stator cover off. And had we taken the stator cover off, we could possibly have fixed it and kept going.
Yeah.
But it would have been something that we'd have had to really keep a close eye on for the next 20 hours, because that was 4 hours in that fell out. So, so we have fixed that now. And obviously we had, a few events after that that we've got through and okay. So, yeah.
Yeah. That's it's just like so gutted when something like that happens. And,
I was just, it absolutely breaks our heart. Like you put everything in to that one event. So yeah, it was very disappointing, very heartbreaking. But
Yeah.
you know what? We were able to get out there and follow the rest of the sidecar crews around and cheer them on and enjoy a little bit of spectating that doesn't really happen anymore. So yeah.
Yeah, I got to do that at the last Robbie because we got the first lap around and then the second lap coming through Spring Hut Creek. We noticed that because the chain was slipping and we were like, what's going on? Noticed that there was a few teeth had come off of the front sprocket. And we're like, oh, we might make it through. We'll keep going. And then, we got through Spring Hut Creek and we went to come up that sandy exit and it was just going brrr, and we were like, oh, man. So we had to limp back because we only had like a couple of teeth left on the sprocket. And then we found that a rock had gotten in there and it had smashed off the teeth. So, I was devo because I wanted to see if I'd got any fitter and better because I'd only done Robertstown that first time and it absolutely killed me. And I was feeling so good because I'd actually trained for it and I was like all pumped to do it. And then that happened and I was so devo. Devo.
And see, I carry so much in my toolbox on the bike. It's actually probably ridiculous. Like I carry spare front brake pads, rear brake pads, spare sprockets, like the amount of crap that I put in that toolbox. But I'd rather have it and it be in there and never need to use it.
Yeah.
Then not pack something and need it and DNF, maybe over a $5 or $10, $15 part. But and even like spark plugs, I think I carry 2 or 3 of them and it's ridiculous what I pack in there. I'll carry a complete spare full chain.
Yeah. I suppose if you know how to fix all those things, it's probably easy, but God, I can't fix anything. If I can't fix it with duct tape and zip ties, I'm out.
That's it.
So I've just got to learn.
I've had to do it all myself basically my whole career. So it's certainly I've learnt some tricks of the trade over the years to and at the end of the day, it's just sometimes unfortunate things, you hit a rock or a tree or a log and it breaks things that you have to fix. Which that's but preparation in the shed most of the time will help you win races, but obviously if you're smashing and breaking things, that's a whole nother ball game.
Yeah. So how do you manage to balance the racing and being out in the shed and stuff all the time as well as you're a mum? So how do you balance all that stuff?
Since Colby came along, I've had to obviously alter things a little bit. Being a single mum, it did make it a little bit harder in the beginning. I couldn't go out in the shed when I wanted. And nowadays, obviously, she's 8. I can generally get out there in the afternoons when we get home from work and school. But, once the evening comes and you've got a bath and do dinner and, do your school homework and, your house chores and that, I normally then get out the shed about 9 o'clock once she's sort of gone to bed for the night. And, most of the times I don't go to bed till midnight, 1 o'clock, especially in race season. Just by, just working in the shed and doing normal household chores and all that sort of thing as well. So, I do look tired most of the time, but you know what? I wouldn't have it any other way. My daughter races as well, and I absolutely love my racing. And it's sometimes I think last year we didn't get the motor back until 6 days before the first event. So it definitely was under the pump, and I think I was out in the shed till 3 a.m. That was probably the latest I ever worked, and I got Colby to school at 9 o'clock the next morning, and it was hard. Like I was so tired and so knackered. And then obviously had a massive week. So basically Sunday night, Monday night, Tuesday, Wednesday night, putting the motor back in, getting the bike ready, and then Thursday night went to fire the bike up, didn't fire. The timing chain was out, so I had the mechanic come back round, strip the head off, had to half strip the bike apart, and then worked real late that night again. I did get my mum to come over and babysit my daughter so I could spend the time out in the shed with the mechanic, and Mum gave her tea and everything, and then she was at school the next day, and Ayla and I ran the motor in and went for a ride and test rode everything, and rocked up at the event the next day and finished, got through it, and it was a big relief, but the emotions hit me just before we left. I felt really emotional because it'd been such a massive week, and you know, sometimes you sacrifice so much, and the mum guilt hits home a little bit as well, that you haven't spent much time with your child, but you know that she absolutely loves it. Like when I'm out there competing in the road trials, she's out there yelling and screaming and cheering me on, and
she's got the phone out. I reckon she was near us one of the other times, I think it was Robbie or somewhere. She's down in Spring Hut Creek, and she's got the phone, and she's finding all the awesome spots to film.
Oh yeah, she takes some really good photos and videos. Yes, she does. Yeah. She really enjoys it. And she's got the lingo down. She's like, "Oh, we'll see you at the next field up, Mum," and "Oh, we've got to go to this section and this section," and she really enjoys it as well. So it's a bit of a family affair. So
and it's awesome as well for her to be seeing you in the shed doing that sort of stuff, you know. Oh, my mum, like watching you do hard things, like you're not just a mum.
Oh, exactly. So, and you know what, when she races, she comes and helps washes her bike and, you know, does the bits and pieces that she needs to do and helps load up and unload, and it's, you know, she's not just sitting there watching me do it all, like she gets involved as well. So,
it's good, and it's just good for her to be able to like be a part of it with you as well, like and you'll have that bond as well.
Absolutely.
Do you find that you're probably a bit more cautious now being a mum, or do you do you get a bit more anxious thinking, oh, you know, I don't want to get too hurt?
Absolutely. I do. I've also I've raced a little bit of flat track, and we had a death flat track at the end of last year, and it really, really, really hit home. So I had about 3 months off racing, and only just went back, and it took, like, I was really, really nervous and, you know, a little bit anxious, because it just really hit home. You know, we know the dangers when we race, but, you know, having it right there when I was in the same race, it really hit home. That it could have been me, it could be me, this could happen, and, you know, and then I just thought, shit, you know, my child would be left parentless. She wouldn't have a parent, and, I think it did really, really hit home. So, that was really hard to deal with for a little while there, so.
Because I find that, like, I think, if I'd have done this before I had kids, I think I would have been a bit more, like, went a bit harder and stuff as well, like, not only because if I was a bit younger, but a lot of the time the first thing that comes to my head is like, you know, slow down, you know, your kids.
Well, that's it. And I think Ayla and I are still keen, like even this year, like we'll push as hard as we can, and we're still wanting to go that bit faster. But when there's that little bit of an unknown, like if you're coming up, flying up the top of a hill and you can't see over the other side, I have that hesitation. Because I can't afford to crash. You know, I can't afford to injure myself or worse. And obviously, because my daughter needs me, and you know, I obviously can't also afford to have time off work, and you know, because it's just me and my girl. So
and I guess you just like I've lost the word now. I'm having a brain fart. I had the word there, and then now it's gone. Oh, what is it? That's the mum brain kicking in.
Yes, it is. It definitely is. It's just, you know, your mum life and mum guilt as well.
Sure. Do you have you ever found it like being a female just racing in a male dominated sport? Have you ever found any challenges like as that?
I think definitely have, and it definitely, when Ayla and I went on the sidecar, it felt like it took a long time for us to get accepted. As part of that small knit sidecar community. You know, just and I think once we started getting that little bit faster and being a bit more competitive, everyone started sort of talking to us or giving us a bit of advice. Like, it just felt like it did take a long time to get accepted.
Yeah.
Even the other year when we did really well in the 24, it was really quite a funny moment. All the experts were there having a photo together. I said, Ayla, let's go photo bomb their photo. So we sort of ran across, and then a couple of them like, oh, girls, come in, join our photo. Like,
Oh, yeah.
It definitely did feel like it took a long time to be accepted. And
as serious races.
Yeah, definitely. Like, hey, we do like to have fun. We will wear the tutus, but we want to be competitive and we want to beat those other teams, absolutely, without a doubt. So, and probably the biggest thing is being a female in the reliability trials is learning to hold on to go to the toilet. And timing your toilet breaks for the fuel dumps, whereas those men go at every single control. Yeah. So easy, and we're sitting there absolutely busting for a wee, hoping that some of the control keepers have got a little portaloo or something that we can maybe use, or we just have to hang on. So
someone was saying, I can't remember who told me, but I think it was a male that had a female passenger, and he noticed, he said, look, the 10-minute fuel stops aren't long enough. Like, my passenger can't even go to the toilet in time. By the time like girls, it takes them a lot longer to go to the toilet, and I think that's why they ended up changing it to 15 minutes.
It did. And then when we got, a few more all-girl female sidecar teams, you've got two people that actually need to go to the toilet. Yeah. And, like, there's a minimum of 5 to 7 minutes. Like, if you, sometimes, like, if my mum knows I'm coming in, they'll make sure that the toilet's free. Yeah. If it's not, I'll be working on my bike and they'll be like, oh, toilet's free, and I'll have to quickly run, go to the toilet, come back, finish working on the bike, then Ayla can go. Like, it's actually,
And then say you've got Tiana and Eloise and me and Caroline, like all of us, there's not enough time for all of us to be able to go if we all rock up at the same time.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So, that's been probably the biggest issue, being a woman, is learning to hold on and, timing your toilet breaks. So
I'm pretty sure I've seen Erin, we were like, oh, they must be broke down, and then she comes running out from the bushes, I was just going to the toilet.
And over night time, you can find a bush and do that, but during the daytime, there's not very many bushes that you can really go and hide behind. Or Ayla and I will go off for a big walk if we've got a bit of time at the control, and we'll find a big tree or a big bush, and she'll stand guard and then I'll stand guard, so that, we can actually try and have a wee. Yeah.
And it's not the easiest either when you've got your, all your armour, and if you wear like a kidney belt and you've got all your clothes tucked into it. And
even just getting your pants down with your knee guards and your boots and that. So, and they don't stretch those racing pants.
No. So you can only pull them down like 10 centimetres or something.
Exactly. So, it's not very discreet. You've got to have everything out and exposed.
Oh, God. So, future goals. What are your plans? What do you want to achieve?
I continue doing the reliability trials and continue to push as hard and as fast as we can, and continue to be competitive. A couple of people mentioned, "Oh, you girls, the way you're going, you might get expert." I don't see that happening. But
so, how do they determine that?
Generally, it's the person who wins the Clubman series at the end of the SART series. Yep. But you know what? We'd like to just continue to be as competitive as possible, and I'd like to continue racing as long as I can. Yep. Obviously, my bike's a fair age now, and we still seem to be pretty competitive on the old girl. So, but I'd love to win the lottery one day and get a new bike, but I can't see that happening anytime soon.
What is your bike?
So I've got a 2000 KTM BSU.
BSU, yeah. And what?
So it's almost in the classic era now, 25 years old.
Yeah. What motor is that one?
It's got a KTM 525 in it at the moment. Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, cool. So what advice would you have for new people wanting to get into it?
I just don't ever say no.
Yeah.
If you don't know how to do something, say yes and learn later.
Yeah.
Just take every experience that you can get, because honestly, this sidecar racing that we do is just such a unique sport, and you honestly can't describe it. You can't explain it. It's just to be able to go, racing through an unknown course at pace, following markers, and you get through it, you and your passenger, and you have some amazing time. You just can't beat it. It's just unreal.
Yeah. The buzz that you get from it there's nothing like it.
Absolutely.
There really isn't. And even when I know, like, even just standing on the sidecar, sometimes we're flying through the trees, and I'm I'm on another planet.
Yeah,
I'm just like in awe. I'm just like, whoa, I can't believe I'm here. This is so cool.
And I bought my own sidecar like 15 years ago, and that would never have come about if this girl didn't ask me to jump on at motocross and ride the bike so she could swing.
Yeah.
Like, it's just one person asked me one thing, and I said, yeah, sure, I'll give it a go. And the passion just developed. So don't ever hesitate and knock back an opportunity, because you don't know what that opportunity will bring.
Yeah, no, for
so,
sure.
yeah, definitely.
So motocross, you haven't done too much motocross?
I've done a little bit over the years, but obviously my preferred discipline now is the reliabilities. So generally, just the funds don't spread as far to do the two disciplines. I used to have two sidecars.
Oh, okay.
There was a time there where I had a motocross sidecar and a reliability trial sidecar. But just couldn't afford to, once Colby come along, just couldn't afford to do both disciplines all the time. But I do love it. I absolutely love it. The last couple of Murray Williams Cups, my bike has been mechanically put aside, so I've been able to still compete riding someone else's bike with another passenger, and I absolutely loved the last couple of times I've done the motocross. So but I do enjoy it, but it's just, obviously when you do the reliability trials and you race on a Saturday, you can get home on the Sunday and you can rush the bike and wash your gear and get ready for the schools and work the next day. Whereas, with the motocross sometimes being on a Sunday, you get home late on a Sunday night, you've got to get up early. So, it has its pros and cons as well. Bang for buck, the reliability trials, you do get a bit more riding time as well. And obviously, a little bit of hesitation sometimes going into that first corner with all those bikes. You never know. I've seen some serious accidents over the years. And like you said, mum guilt kicks in, and you just, at the end of the day, you just want to get home safely after each race so that you can get home to your family.
Yeah. Well, you and James Wally did all right at the Murray Williams Cup last year.
Yeah, we've done well the last 2 years that we've ridden together. I really enjoyed doing that with him the last couple of years. So, I haven't done much motocross before that. And I think 2 years ago when we did it at Murray Bridge, I hadn't jumped like that in all my life. And I think just having him on and just really encouraging me and pushing me, we just clicked, and we rode really, really well together. So I think we come second at Murray Bridge in our class, and we won our class last year.
The one last year, I've got a good photo of you guys. You're completely covered from head to toe in mud.
I know. Some people took that first corner and we were right behind them. They went straight through the bog hole. We're like, we were just covered. We couldn't see a thing. And I'm like, oh, my God. And in that case, I was so happy to be on a fully sponsored ride, because I didn't have to take that bike home and wash it.
You couldn't even see the numbers or anything. I was like, who is that? Oh, my God.
I'm so glad
Kristy
I had my tear-offs, because it would have been taking the goggles off and riding without goggles, because it was horrific. I think it was the only wet patch in the whole track, and these bikes just went straight through and they just covered us.
Oh, God,
So,
Well, I think that's about an hour, I reckon, we've been chatting. Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
about nearly an hour.
Yep. Wonderful.
Is there anything else that you want to add or anything? Um,
Um, Probably, just, probably a massive shout out to the
Yeah.
passengers that I've had on for motocross and reliability trials over the years, because obviously without the close connection I've had with the passengers, I wouldn't be out there doing what I absolutely love. And you know what? I've made friends for life through sidecars. And yeah, I don't have any regrets.
Yeah.
Probably just the fact that I wish I'd got into it sooner.
Yeah, that's me
rather
too.
than,
I feel ripped off.
Yeah, I only
I'm like,
started 15 years ago, and, I wish I'd sort of, grown up doing it rather than, coming in at such a late age. But you know what? I don't have any regrets with, taking on the sport and spending a shitload of money and time in the shed and frustrations, but I absolutely love it with all my heart. So
What would you say is your favourite thing out of everything? Like,
in regards, like, as in
just
the
racing, just sidecars altogether. What?
I think just Ayla and I being on the bike in a section, working so well together and smashing through it. So you just can't beat it. And then at the end of the section saying whether we liked it, whether we hated it, or whether, that's probably my most special and favourite moment is just, start of the section, you count down 5 seconds to go and off we go and we work together as a team and, get through to the end.
Yep. Yeah, no, that you can't beat it. There's just something about it, and it's hard to explain.
Yeah.
It's just something. It does something to you.
Yep, and that's
it. Does something to your soul.
And you can't even explain to the spectators that see such a small fraction of that section.
Yeah.
To explain exactly what you've actually got to ride through sometimes. They just have no idea.
Yeah. I was like that with my husband. I'm like, you should have seen. He's like, oh, that looked a bit sketchy where you went. I was like, oh my God, that was not even sketchy. I was like, you should have seen where we just came from.
Yeah,
like,
you should have seen the rest of the section.
We're like through this creek and then up this bloody washed out bit and over all these rocks on the edge of a cliff and it's like a full on adventure.
Yeah, that's it. You just don't know what you're going to come across. So
and that's only if everything goes right.
Yeah,
then when it starts going wrong, it's like, oh no. Like Malala last year, our light blew like on the real windy section near the end and through the creeks and stuff, and it was pitch black. And we were riding with no lights at all. We couldn't see anything until it was like a meter close to us, and we were like, "Are we even on the track?" Like, and we're like, "Oh no, quick, turn left!" And it's like turn left, and then we're like you had no idea where you were, and I was completely like I was swinging just by feel of where the bike was under my feet. Like, it was scary as hell because it could have been really dangerous, but at the same time, thrilling.
Yeah. That's it. Ayla and I had that in the 24 one year.
Yeah.
All our lights blew, and we rode probably about 6 sections until we got excluded by a torchlight.
Yep.
But luckily we had a full moon that night, so it wasn't actually as dark as what you'd think it would be. So thank goodness for a full moon. But because we weren't roadworthy, we ended up getting excluded and had a big fat DNF.
Yeah, we were lucky. It was the last section, and Brad and Sophie came up behind us, and then they were like, "What are they doing?" And then realised we had no lights, so we just followed them the whole way back, like along the road and stuff. And we're lucky we didn't turn the bike off, because as soon as we turned it off, when we stopped, it wouldn't start again. So we were so lucky we didn't get a DNF. We were,
could you imagine if that was a section before?
Yeah, we would have been stuffed. So we're so glad we made it back. But riding with no lights like that, so you're like terrified, but at the same time, it's a massive like thrill.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. You know what? You just can't explain the stories that you've got to tell from one event.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah, it's crazy. Alrighty then. Well, I will let you go, and be safe in the
No,
cyclone.
that's it. I think it's ex-tropical cyclone Albert now. So,
Yeah.
but the winds are still pretty ferocious. But we are planned to fly out tomorrow.
Yeah.
So we're hoping that our flight doesn't get cancelled for the 5th time. So we'll see what happens. But thank you so much for having me. I really
No,
appreciate
that's
it.
all right. Thank you. You might have to go and join those guys I've seen sliding down the hill on
We
TikTok.
actually saw that in person the other day when we were checking out, and the funniest thing is we actually bumped into Big Bad Barry Hall,
Yeah.
stealing sand from the beach to sandbag his house.
Ah.
And he filled this wheelie bin with so much sand he actually couldn't lift it into his car. I said, Adam, we've got to go help him. So off we went. And we're like, do you need a hand? He goes, oh, if you could, I underestimated this. And between the three of us, we lifted this wheelie bin up. And Adam's like, well, if I help you, it's going to cost you a photo. But yeah, and then we're like, yeah, we saw the kids going down that human mudslide. Like it was just gold. It was absolutely fantastic. So yeah. Amazing. Thanks so much,
Awesome.
Tash. I really
I'll
appreciate
see
it.
you at round 1.
Yeah, we're not too far away at all.
Yeah, awesome. Okay,
all right,
thank
thanks,
you.
Tash.
See ya.
Bye.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Sidecar Spin. Massive shout out to Kristy for jumping on and chatting with me. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any feedback, please let me know. Any way to make it better, any questions or anything at all. Yeah, thanks guys. See you soon.